So, Harry,
Yeah.
you famously grew up in quite a rural part of mid Wales,
Yes.
not entirely dissimilar to the community depicted in this film.
Well,
We'll see. But on that note, what would you think would be the strangest kind of ritual or, I don't know, habit or whatever that your community or
the weirdest
tradition?
thing?
What's the weirdest thing about your childhood or your community that you might think people like me, city kids, might look on and think, oh, what a bunch of freaks?
well, there's once a year on the 1st of March, we all wear daffodils and leeks on our clothes.
Exclusively.
No. Our clothes aren't made of leeks.
No, okay.
But no, we all just start pinning vegetables to our clothes.
That's pretty weird.
Yeah. It's a bit of a strange one. I mean, that's just what the boys do.
Mm-hmm.
The girls, they have to dress up in like traditional attire.
Mm-hmm.
They basically have like buckets on their head, like with a belt wrapped around it. Like it's.
I mean, that literally sounds like a scene from this film.
Yeah, it's very strange.
Mm-hmm.
I guess that other than that, there was a folk festival I used to go to, and it turned out that apparently in that particular part of Shropshire, which is England, it's not Wales. You know, they're weird in England. Wales, we're normal.
Mm-hmm.
In that particular part of Shropshire, apparently Morris dancing, you know, it's that weird one where you do little jigs with bells.
Yes, I know Morris
bells
dancing.
and things. In Shropshire, apparently it was just normal to do that in blackface.
Oh dear.
Yeah.
Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear.
This was like last decade. This wasn't long ago.
Oh, that's very upsetting.
Yeah.
You didn't do blackface though.
No.
Okay, good.
I didn't. I didn't, but also I didn't really recognize like what blackface was.
Sure, yeah.
At that point, I was like, "Oh, this is fun!" Woo!
Mm-hmm.
But looking back, it's like, "Whoa! How did that happen?" That was
that's a yikes. That's a big old
that
yikes.
was recent. So, yeah.
Yeah, okay, well, Beyond the Box Set does not endorse blackface.
Some films are fine just the way they are. Other films sometimes take it way too far. But really, how bad could it get? Let's go beyond the box set.
Welcome back, everybody, to Beyond the Box Set, the podcast where today we are pitching prequels, sequels, and spin-off ideas to The Wicker Man. We'll also be pitching some drinking games and hearing other sequel pitches from our Twitter followers. But first, we're going to talk about some of our favourite moments from the original movie and catch you up with a bit of a plot summary. I'm Harry, the host with the most island holidays.
Mm-hmm. You have just got back from Crete for your honeymoon.
Yes. And joining me, as always, the B team of the podcast is John Lucas.
Oh, mean. I'm glad this is ending.
Oh. So, yeah, The Wicker Man, part 3, the final episode of our St. Nicholas Cagemas.
Yes, can't get that enough.
Season.
Yeah, indeed, the concluding part.
Yeah.
And I feel like we've really run the gamut.
Yeah.
Of like the Nicolas Cage gamut of these three. We've seen Face Off, which is the best of Nicolas Cage. Actually, The Rock was also pretty high up there. I think.
Yeah, that was pretty good.
This is
Terrible.
This is something different.
Just awful. Like, there's not many ways this could be worse. It is a very bad film.
But would you say enjoyably so?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Yeah,
I wasn't like out loud laughing at like how bad it was or anything.
Oh, I was. I laughed many a time at this film.
But there was certainly some very enjoyable bits to it. And it moved at a good pace, and it's not long.
Yeah, indeed. I may be like revealing too much about myself here. This might not reflect well on me. I laughed the most and the longest and genuinely the loudest every time he punched a woman in the face.
There's something about it, isn't
It
there?
was just hilarious every time. I'm so sorry. Again, do not endorse woman beating, but just in the context of this film, Nicolas Cage just punching women square in the face. On one occasion, dressed in a full bear suit, just like knocking her ass down.
Yep.
It cracked me up.
I love it. He just doesn't hold back at all.
No, not at all. I mean, we're skipping way far ahead. There's one scene where he doesn't just punch a woman; he fly kicks her into a wall.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Yes. So yeah, there's a lot you can enjoy in this movie if you've got a certain sense of humor, but it is profoundly terrible. Absolutely.
Yes.
Have you ever seen? We're talking about the 2006 Nicolas Cage. You've not seen the original. I know you're very much anti old things. I would strongly.
That's why I don't like you.
Well, thank you. Yeah, I would strongly recommend at some point in your life watching the original. It is fantastic. It's so good. It's so weird.
I watched the trailer for it. It looks bizarre.
It is bizarre. It's like obviously this is weird, but this is weird and bad.
Mm-hmm.
The original's like weird, just in an unsettling, but also it's so very English. Like it's almost a musical. There's loads of like really weird like English folk music in the whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's this but done well. Like
Yeah.
it's really worth watching. It's fantastic. Also, I mean, there's a lot of changes. A lot of this is quite faithful to the original. Like a lot of the same dialogue is used, but there's a lot of quite significant changes. The main one being that this one, in the original one, the main villain is played by Christopher Lee.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not supposed to be a woman-oriented island particularly. It's
right.
just a bunch of pagans. So the main character, who's played by Edward Woodward, he actually plays
Can I just give you a quick pause? What a ridiculous name.
Well, who knew he would burn well? You know, with that name. Who could have predicted he'd burn well with that name? Edward Woodward. But yeah, I know that's the actor's name, not the character as well.
I know. Such mean parents.
I know that is cruel. That is very cruel. But yeah, so in the original one,
I reckon his mother lost a bet or something.
possibly. I mean, he would have been born in the 40s or the 30s. I don't know. Maybe. I like the idea that you can just give your baby a bad name on a bet.
Yeah.
Is it too late to make a little wager?
You know.
Okay, fair enough. Yes, but in the original one, the Nicolas Cage character, played by Edward Woodward, he's still a police officer, but he's not the father of the child. He's just going to investigate a missing child.
Right, okay.
And he's actually
Yeah, that definitely feels like an add-on.
Yeah, it's like, why would you expect him to care unless it's like his child? Which it makes it's so much harder for this film to make any sense if it's his child. Like it's just so it stretches the credulity so much.
The girl at the end, who actually lights the thing,
Yeah.
is she the girl that he's looking for the whole time?
Yes, that's his daughter.
Okay,
Biologically,
because she
yeah.
didn't look a thing like that picture.
Yeah, I mean,
they were different girls, right?
I don't know. I think it was supposed to be the same girl.
Okay, well, sure, but like that girl at the end looked like 3 or 4 or something. The girl in the picture was like 12.
I don't know. I don't know what to tell you. I genuinely don't know if it was the same girl or not, but it was. I think it was supposed to be.
Right.
But who cares? But yeah, in the original, he's just a police officer. He's also a very devout Christian. To the point where he doesn't believe in sex before marriage, and he's a virgin. And so he goes over to the island, and the island is full of like they're all pagans. So instead of it all being about like female centric and just all like women worshipping bees, it's just like this very like pagan sex oriented, like there's a lot of boob in it, lots of naked ladies and people just having sex all over the place, and it really freaks him out. And the ending's the same. He gets burnt inside a giant Wicker Man, obviously.
Spoilers.
Sorry, I mean, come on, it's the title of the film. But yeah, it's a very different vibe. Whereas this film just decided to be like, you know what? Let's make it all about bitches. I feel like if this film had a tag, I think the tagline of this film should have just been "The Wicker Man, fuck women." Because this film is, I don't want to get into like a con air where I'm like going to be like cancelling the film before we discuss it, because this film is a lot of fun. It is also very misogynistic.
Yeah.
This is a film made and written by people who do not like women and
Definitely.
are very afraid of women being in power. Like, this is what you'll get.
Yeah.
Let them vote. You start letting them vote, and this is where you end up.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which in itself is quite funny, you know. But yeah, no, I had a great time watching this. You're right; it's not too long. It is completely absurd. Nicolas Cage's acting wise,
Yeah.
it's bad, right?
It's just
It's like it's the same kind. It's a lot of the same stuff, but where Connor and
it's very wooden.
it's very wooden, yeah.
And I think that it just works when there's like a lot going on. And in this, there's not always a lot going on. Like the scenes are quite basic.
He's got nothing to bounce off.
Yeah.
Because the female characters don't get any dialogue.
No. Yeah.
They just get to like make weird noises and like laugh nervously and like
There's a lot of him shouting at thin air.
a lot of him shouting at. Yeah, he's got nothing. That's what I think. He's got nothing to work with, and the script is just absurd.
Yeah.
and he's not able to elevate it particularly. But it's still a lot of. I mean, obviously some of his line readings are like have passed into legend, like they are now classic Nick Cage. But I think in a different way to like Face Off, where you watch Face Off, you watch The Rock, you watch Connor, even Vampire's Kiss, which is ludicrous, but I would still say is a good film in its weird way.
Yeah.
Whereas this is just this is Nicolas Cage doing his thing in a terrible, terrible movie.
Yeah. Yeah. So I watched this on Amazon Prime, and
I was going to get to this, the missing scene.
yeah.
I was so angry. I'm so sorry. I recommended watching it on Amazon Prime because I found it there. I was watching it quite late at night as well, so I thought
Yeah.
you'd probably be in bed, so didn't text her. I was so angry when I realised that it cut the scene.
Yeah.
The bee scene.
So like the whole reason we picked this was because of the bees.
Yeah.
The bees! Or whatever, I don't know. And yeah, so we get towards that scene and it's not happened yet. It's gonna happen. It's gonna happen. And then they're putting him in the Wicker Man. Like, well, it's still gonna happen though. And like they're burning it and like, how's he gonna get out of this one? Like, I know he gets out of this because like, we've not had the bees scene yet.
Yeah,
and then it doesn't happen. I'm like, are they wrapping this up? I'm not at the bees scene yet. They're wrapping this up. Oh, there's the credits. Okay, this is weird.
So the bee scene was in...
And I clocked it. Like, it's... I noticed the bit where it wasn't.
Yeah, because it's just a weird voiceover.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a dodgy edit.
It's strange. Yeah, so basically, it's a bit confusing. So there's the theatrical version never had the bee scene. The bee scene was only ever in the director's cut, which came out on DVD.
Right, okay.
But also the director's cut that has the bee scene doesn't have the epilogue scene with James Franco.
Right, okay.
It's bizarre. Like, they just made two quite different cuts. But
Yeah.
Did you go back and then watch the bee scene?
On YouTube, yes.
Oh, good. I was going to say, because you have to remind
yeah,
yourself,
yeah.
It is a much poorer movie without it. I was so annoyed when I got all the way through this film and we didn't even get the bee scene.
To be honest, I found the bee scene bit quite underwhelming. I thought maybe it's because like
it's become such a meme.
Well, no, I was going to say maybe I'd just sort of broken the structure of the movie and I wasn't quite in that space anymore.
Yeah, it is a shame because it does build. It kind of builds to it. Yeah.
Yeah, I thought the scene that was more interesting was when he got hobbled, essentially.
Yeah. Before, which also gets cut from the version we watched.
Yeah.
But yes, he fully gets hobbled. Which I agree. I thought that whole sequence is just quite sinister in a way that. It's a weird choice to cut it out.
But like the bee scene, it's quick, and the bees do not look very convincing at all.
Oh, no. I mean, they pour them in, and then it's like, you can't just pour a bunch of live bees into a funnel, and they'll just flow down like liquid.
Yeah. And then the prosthetics that are on his face afterwards, they're nowhere near enough.
Oh, it's just a chin strap of bees. Yeah.
Well, no, not that. I mean, that was fine.
Oh, you mean like his face isn't like... Yeah, he should look like that weird freak from Midsommar, shouldn't he? Yeah, his face should have blown up.
He shouldn't look like Nicolas Cage anymore, but he looks like Nicolas Cage, but just like with a small lump on his neck.
Yeah.
And that's it. And that's how they were able to like cut that scene, and the rest of the film doesn't look weird because his face still looks normal.
It's like, why do you think they decided to cut that though? Do you think someone was like, you know what, this is just too ridiculous? Like beforehand, this film was like rock solid, but this is the shark jump.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, you get to the end of a movie like this, and you need to like, you know what, this is bullshit. What we've done here, we need to just go balls to the wall.
Yeah,
and
just
go
commit to the
all
bees
out.
And that's it. That's why you hire Nicolas Cage, because he will go all out and give you that. You know, you can't fault his delivery of those lines. You know, he is committed to that bee sting scene. You know.
Yeah. But also, I'd love to see it without the CGI bees.
Yeah, just him screaming at nothing. You know?
Yeah.
Oh.
How much did he get paid for this?
Well, I wonder because
he's a big star.
He is, but I mean,
this is, what, 2006?
I mean, this is around the time he also made that terrible film, the one where like the apocalypse happens and everyone disappears.
Left Behind.
Yeah.
Yeah, but this is also shortly after like National Treasure and Ghost Rider and stuff.
Well, I don't think this film was made on a huge budget because it looks like shit. There are parts of this film that look like absolute shit. So I don't know. Maybe they spent all the budget on Nicolas Cage, but I can't imagine this was his... I don't think this was a National Treasure-esque payday for him.
No.
I think it was just the period when he was saying yes to literally everything. So.
Yeah, true. Oh, well.
Yeah. I mean, the budget for his wig and teeth alone.
Yeah.
The wig, I mean, the wig is something. Like the jet black, like unnaturally black hair, a distracting like distance away from his scalp line. Just always got me. But actually, the teeth distracted me way more.
What do they say on Drag Race? Like the distance between your eyebrows and your hairline is getting bigger because that hair is running away from that face.
Yeah, it is. The hair is fleeing the face, and the teeth are fleeing his jawline. Like, those like gravestone, like glaring white teeth. Did you clock them as well?
Yeah.
They were so distracting. He'd obviously had some veneers done recently, and it was super distracting. So, but very entertaining. So.
Oh dear.
What is it? What is it? What is it? Oh, no, not the bees! Not the bees! Ah!
Open my eyes! My eyes! All right, then, the plot. Go on.
Oh, well, here we go. Strap in. Yes, so the Wicker Man, released in 2006, based on the 1973 original, which we've already discussed. Directed by Neil LaBute, who is I don't think we've ever done another Neil LaBute film, but he did films like Nurse Betty and In the Company of Men. He's kind of had a reputation for all of his films feature horrible men doing horrible things to women.
Cool.
And I think this was the point where people were like, oh, he's not making a comment. He's just an asshole. Like,
Yeah.
He just doesn't like women. So yeah, that happened. But we open with Nicolas Cage. He is a traffic cop. I can't remember what his character was named. Also, I don't care. So he's Nicolas Cage. He's giving you the Nicolas Cage experience. He's a traffic
He's
cop.
one of those actors where it's Nicolas Cage as this.
Yeah, he's not someone who goes into like deep character work where you're like, oh, I wouldn't even have known it was him.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
Of course you know it's him. Except in the animated Spider-Man film, in which I thought he was fantastic.
Oh, yeah.
And also, I mean, it's only voice work, but I would have potentially not known it was him. And I was really pleased when I was like, oh, wow, that was Nicolas Cage doing something a bit different.
Yeah.
So I'll give him that one.
Yeah.
But yeah.
What was the last Nicolas Cage film you watched?
Well, I was
Like
all up for
most
watching
recent
the
memory.
pig one, and you were just like, no.
Yeah, I'm not regretting that.
I'm still interested to see the pig movie, although I think it
Look,
might be
if it gets nominated for an Oscar,
I don't think it will.
and it's on my list, then maybe.
Sure, okay. I mean, I think it is what you were afraid it was going to be. For all the reviews I've read, made it sound like it's quite artsy-fartsy, so...
Yeah. No, I can't be asked.
No. In that case, what was the last... I think the last thing I saw him in, chronologically, probably was the Spider-Man movie.
Yeah, I think so too.
I can't remember the last...
Live action one.
No, not... Apart from things we watched for this podcast, a lot of them are just...
Kick-Ass?
They're just too... I never watched Kick-Ass. I guess that was quite well received, though, wasn't it? The first
yeah.
one. But yeah, the everything he comes out with apart from Pig just seems too dire. So
Yeah.
we'll see. I'm sure we'll see.
But like
him
he's
again.
still really making movies.
Oh, he's still churning around. I feel like he's turned a corner.
Yeah.
I feel like 10 years ago he was doing stuff like, well, this was like 15 years ago, but he did this, and he when he was doing there's like Left Behind, like crappy, almost virtually straight to DVD kind of stuff, straight to streaming. I feel like now he's got into a bit of a groove of like making weird art house shit that sometimes is good. Like that one that you told me about the other week where he plays himself.
Oh yeah.
That could go either way. We'll see.
Absolutely, yeah.
I think he's back to making interesting things again. So
Yeah.
maybe he's paid off some of his debts. I don't know. But
Yeah.
I'm intrigued. I'm interested to see some things he's in again.
Yeah, yeah.
A lot of time for him. So in this, he's playing a traffic cop in California initially. He seems to have some anxiety issues because in the first scene we see him reading books with titles like "Everything's Okay," with these hilariously cheap cover photos that look so fake. But anyway, one day he's on a motorcycle as well because of course Nicolas Cage must ride a motorcycle, and he's like driving all over the dusty highways and he's giving everyone like speeding tickets and stuff. And one day he's driving and he rescues a doll that is dropped out of a car window by a little girl, a cute little blonde moppet with her mum in the car. He very coolly, he just picks up the doll without even stopping his motorbike, pulls over the mother and the daughter, gives the doll back to her. The mother's very apologetic. The daughter is a little bitch. She's like, "You got my doll?" Heh, throws it out the window again.
Yeah.
And he goes to pick it up again, and then completely out of nowhere, utterly out of nowhere, just a truck appears, smashes into the car, which then explodes. The truck just disappears.
Yeah,
The
no.
truck, it's like a ghost truck.
The truck's not a thing.
No, smashes the car. There's a huge explosion. He gets knocked away by the blast. He's not killed. And then he runs up, and somehow the little girl is still alive. And he's like trying to desperately claw into the car, out of the back windscreen to save her, to release her. And she's just like not remotely reactive. She's just like so impassive, just like looking at him like, okay, this is happening. And then the car just explodes again.
Yeah. And presumably the girl and the mother die, but he's fine.
Yeah, well, they must be vaporized.
I guess, yeah.
Yeah. Because then we're just like, it's like the car explodes and it's boom, Wicker Man title card.
Yeah. Now, I have no idea what the fuck just happened. Like, I've got to the end of the movie,
Yeah.
and I have no idea what that scene was. I genuinely don't know if it was real. If it was, who were the people? Were they mother and daughter from the island?
They show up at the end.
Did they?
Yeah, on the island when he's getting sacrificed. There's a scene when it pans in on the two of them and also the blonde cop are all there. And I don't know what that means. I can't figure out like the logistics of what happened.
No. So like, did they die in the explosion? Did they not? Was it some sort of weird fake pyrotechnic thing just to trick him, or Or was it just in his imagination? Is this just a hallucination that he's had?
I don't know. It's really weird. It seems like it's not a hallucination because he talks to other people off the island about it. Like, it seems like the car really explodes. Although, again, the lorry disappears.
Yeah.
Either he's being drugged from the beginning, like pre-credits, before even the movie starts, he's been like drugged and he's just fantasizing shit.
But for what?
But I don't know. It makes no sense. Or they do some Houdini shit where they somehow get out of that car at the last minute. But we see the girl explode.
Pretty much, yeah.
But then also this blonde cop who, because the next scene we see Nicholas, he's sat at home, he's drinking a beer, he's clearly, he's taken some time out to recuperate from this very traumatic incident, understandably so. And then this incredibly awkward blonde cop turns up and they have some really stilted dialogue. The woman, the very tall woman, to deliver his mail. And they have this really stilted dialogue. But she says, oh, they still haven't found the bodies. So it's like either they've been vaporized in the blast.
Which isn't a thing.
Isn't a thing, yeah.
Like it would leave leftovers.
There would be bone and teeth fragments at least,
Yeah.
Or they did some, or it was some kind of Houdini thing. I don't. It makes literally zero sense. And why would you go to all that efforts? Like the letter is what brings him here, not the car accident. It's I don't know what that was supposed to be. It was really, but they really like lean into it for the rest of the movie. He's getting flashbacks to that accident constantly.
Yeah.
But who knows? So this woman who I don't think there is any dialogue for turns up at his door and gives him this letter. That's because all his mail goes to the police station rather than his home for some reason. Anyway. And he's got a letter from his ex-fiancée, a lady called Willow, and she tells him in exquisite elven penmanship.
This how is this not a red flag for him?
Yeah.
Did she always was she always a calligrapher?
Yeah,
or is this brand new? Because like if I got that letter, I'd be like, I do not believe this is from somebody I know.
No.
This is fake.
Yeah.
And also, I'm framing this. This is pretty as hell.
Yeah. It literally looks like the opening scenes of The Hobbit when Bilbo is right in there and back again. In this like beautiful, it's insane. So she's written this beautifully, and she explains that her daughter, not his daughter yet, we don't get that reveal until later.
Really? Wow, what a reveal.
Huge,
That's insane. I didn't think of that.
Didn't see that coming at all. But she has
Which is bizarre if it's like not a thing in the original.
No, not at all. Like in the original, it's just a police officer gets an anonymous letter saying that from somebody on the island. He is the police officer in mainland Scotland. That a girl's gone missing, and because it's still technically in his jurisdiction, which also makes more sense because in this one, Nicolas Cage has no jurisdiction.
No.
It's like he has no...
It's in a different state.
Yeah, he has no power over these women at all. Whereas in the original, he does. He can arrest them. Obviously, he's trapped, so he can't. But he could theoretically arrest them. They are within the Crown. Yeah. I guess it's also different because obviously in the UK, I think police officers in Scotland and England and stuff can have, have their jurisdiction anywhere. They don't have to be in their specific town.
Yeah.
Whereas in America, it's like state-based.
But why give this difference?
I know.
Why does he need to be a California cop in Washington State?
Exactly. I think, A, why is he in California? That serves no purpose. And B, I guess they just must have thought, oh, well, people won't really buy that he'd care unless it's his blood relative.
Yeah.
So.
And maybe.
Maybe, yeah, but.
Adds a bit of extra tension, but.
Yeah.
Like he has no sort of emotional recognition when he sees the girl.
No, not at all.
Like, you could take it out and then you wouldn't be like, oh, he's acting weird about this girl, weirdly close to this girl who's, not his daughter or something.
He's just a cop who cares,
Yeah.
It's a missing child. It's not that big of a stretch to give a shit,
Yeah.
But where was I? Yeah, so he gets this letter from Willow and she explains that she has a daughter who has gone missing and on this island, which is a very secluded island off Washington State. And she needs his help. He's the only person she can trust to help find her daughter. Also, by the way, this letter, she says more in this letter than she says for the whole rest of the movie in person. And she's a lot clearer in what she says.
I did also notice in the letter. So it's one of those things where she then reads it out like as a narration.
Yeah, it's her voiceover, yeah.
Yeah.
And Nicolas Cage is just doing the most ridiculous reactions to this letter reading.
Oh, his reactions are fantastic.
Yeah.
But also the way that she's reading it isn't at all how people write.
No.
The stuff like, and then I was doing, let me think. Oh, yeah, I was doing this. And like, no, that's not how somebody writes a letter.
Yeah. It's like
you don't say or let me think or
she's being transcribed. Yeah. Word, literally syllable for syllable.
Yeah.
It's a magic letter, Harry. It writes itself. She's just narrating.
But why? Why was it like that? It doesn't make sense.
Nothing in this film makes sense.
How do you write the script for that bit? Be like, right, okay, you're going to read out this letter, so make sure you get your ums in.
I don't know what to tell you.
It's not difficult to do that. Like, we do it every week. We just read a thing.
Yes, exactly. And I spend like 3 hours editing out the ums from our podcast.
Oh, I've never listened.
I know.
Why would I?
No, of course. So anyway, so he gets this letter and he travels to this island. He gets this. It's like very secluded. It's there's no cell phone. There are no cell phones on this island. That becomes a very much a running thing where you can never get a cell phone like signal.
Yeah.
It's very secluded. They do not welcome strangers.
Yeah. So it's then ridiculous when he does get a little bit of cell phone coverage because it's a completely secluded island that you can only get to by flying
Seaplane,
up,
yeah.
Seaplane. Like it's a far distance. So where's that signal coming from?
Who knows? From Dramatic License.
But also, it's the smallest bit of signal that, he manages to ring through, but then he loses the call.
Yeah.
And nothing comes of it.
No.
Why put that in? Cut that right out.
I don't know.
That's not even like a missed call. Did it happen? Did it not happen?
No, you're right.
It leaves you thinking.
It gives Nicolas Cage something to do with his hands while he gets out of the bear costume. That's literally all it is.
I guess, yeah.
But no, did you notice, they make a huge thing. No cell phone, extremely secluded, do not welcome visitors. They do have a website.
Yeah.
Someone's running that website. And I was like, okay, I really want to read the TripAdvisor reviews of this. I want to see what other visitors made of this place. So, well, that's, again, who's built that website, what the kind of footfall is, that's never addressed, obviously. No. But he does manage to get he hops a seaplane with this guy who's like this old grizzled mailman who is the only man who's allowed, well, not the only man, there are men on the island. He's the only outsider who's allowed to come to the island because he delivers all of their shopping and groceries and stuff.
Yeah.
So he's their one connection to the outside world.
I loved everything about this scene.
Yeah.
It's hilarious. So Nicolas Cage walks up to this guy and goes, "Ahoy!"
Ahoy, hoy! Like Mr. Burns. Yeah.
Like, is that what we say? And the guy's like, "No, just say hello." Like a normal person.
Yeah, that was good. Yeah, so this guy reluctantly takes Nicolas Cage over to the island.
Well, you've also skipped over like how he reluctantly takes him. First of all, Nicolas Cage.
Oh my god, he bribes him. Yeah.
Nicolas Cage is like, "Well, can I get a lift?" And he's like making fun of him and everything, making fun of the pilot and everything. And the pilot's like, "Why are you being such a dick?" And Nicolas Cage is like, "Oh, I'm sorry. Can I have a lift?" And the pilot's like, "No. Why would I give you a lift? Firstly, you're a dick, and secondly, I'm not allowed to give lifts to people. That's just part of the arrangement." And then he's like, "Well, maybe you got space for all of us." It's like, who? Well, just me and Mr. Franklin, and he just starts
His
naming
twin brother Ulysses. Yeah.
the president's on the money.
Yeah. No, it's hilarious. Yeah, it's what a cheap and lazy way to write that scene.
Yeah.
Cliche o'clock. So.
Ahoy there.
What was that?
I don't know what you're supposed to say.
I'll just go with hello.
Right. Hello. Do you know anything about a place called Summer's Isle?
Yes, I do. In fact, I make most of the deliveries around there.
Deliveries, huh?
Yep, just about every day. That's what I'm doing now.
What would I have to do to catch a ride with you?
Oh, no. I don't care to lose my contract with these folks. They're very particular.
All right, well then just drop me down on the beach or whatever they have out there and I'll walk into town.
The answer's still no.
Come on, it's just a few miles. I could practically swim that.
Well, you better start swimming then.
Why? What's the big deal?
Because it's private. It's off limits, and we respect that. We're all private people around here.
Yeah, but you're so warm and open, it really makes up for it. All right, I'm just kidding. Okay, look, how about you take all of us there?
What do you mean, oh?
Well, me, Mr. Grant here, and his twin brother Ulysses.
But yeah, he does. He lands on the island and he is immediately met by a trio of kind of hobbity-looking women. He starts immediately handing out photos of the little girl and asks if anyone recognizes her. And everyone's like, "Oh no, we've never seen this girl in life. She's not from this island.
Yeah,
she's not from here. We've never seen her in our lives." But there's definitely something off about them because they're carrying this twitching sack that's also visibly bleeding. And he's like, "What's in the bag?"
And it really builds up tension, but it never shows you.
No,
it was really disappointing.
It was so underwhelming because then they're like, "Well, if you want to see what's in the bag, take a look in the bag." And Nicolas Cage sees, and he jumps back, and they all laugh at him. We, the audience, never learn what's in that bag. What is it?
Yeah, like
Is it like a fish?
it just needs to be like, loads of fish
Yeah.
or just or a goat.
A dying dog or something.
Yeah. Yeah, because like you're thinking like, is this the missing girl?
Is this a person? Yeah.
Yeah, because the whole film, like for pretty much the whole way through, the film's kind of got you guessing: is this girl alive or not?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And this is a great moment of that. It's like, oh, is the girl just dead already?
Yeah.
And like, they don't tell you.
We don't know.
Like we don't know. It could have just been, oh, that wasn't the girl, so she still could be dead or alive.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a very strange.
It was just really
one of many very strange choices. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe it was like, they couldn't actually show like an animal dying, obviously, on film.
You could fake it. I've seen films fake it.
Yeah, but maybe they couldn't do it convincingly as well.
I don't think this film was too concerned about that kind of thing, but sure.
Yeah.
Fair enough, yeah. Anyway, so he meets these strange old crones and they give him a jump scare, and then he goes to the local inn to check in for a place to stay while he's on the island.
Yeah.
So he meets Sister Beach, our first named crone. She's a very stern lady behind the bar. She doesn't.
Is that the Kathy Bates looking one?
Yeah, she does look like a blonde Kathy Bates.
I genuinely thought she was Kathy
It's
Bates.
not- no,
I was
no.
like, why is Kathy Bates doing this?
I've seen her in a few TV shows, this lady. But yeah, I know what you mean. She's very like off-brand Kathy Bates. Yes, but she's very distrustful of strangers. She says something like, "Oh, we don't normally keep men on the island. Or, strange men don't usually stay overnight." And he's like, "Oh, well, can you swing it?" And she's like, "What is that strange city talk?" Like she's never heard the phrase "can you swing it" before. But she again denies that she's ever seen this girl. He gets super aggressive with everybody in this inn as well. Like it's kind of a packed pub.
Yeah.
Lots of people sat, mostly women, all just sat having a few pints. And he just like rams his glass on his flagon on the desk and is like, "I'm investigating all of you, just so you know, you're all suspects in this case." It's like, way to make friends and influence people, Nicolas Cage.
Absolutely. Now, another question. Why does this very secluded island, where no one's allowed on or off, have a hotel
Good question.
with like rooms to spare?
Well, even if you live there, sometimes you want to change your scenery.
Do you think?
Honeymoon suite. I don't know. I don't get the impression many people stay there. Yeah, I mean, we don't know what its attitude. To be fair, actually, the epilogue, the James Franco scene, suggests that they kind of often invite men on to kill them, or at least more than once.
Well, no. I thought that kind of implied that whoever it was, what was it? Sister Honey, I think her name was. I looked it up on IMDb.
Yeah. Lily Sobieski from Deep Impact. Yeah.
Sure. Yeah, I think that she was just going to start a relationship with James Franco and do exactly what happened to Nicolas Cage.
Yeah, lure him onto the island.
Well, like much later on.
Sure, but I get the impression that maybe they bring strange men on every now and again, and then sacrifice them to their festival god.
Oh, I guess. Yeah.
So maybe they'll need a night as a place to stay. So maybe that's what the inn's for. I don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah, so he kind of yells at everyone in the inn, and then he takes a big old swig of mead. Have you drunk mead?
Yeah, it's
disgusting.
Yeah,
it's revolting.
It's also very strong.
Yeah.
Like I think it's like a 20% drink or something like that.
But it's like
it's not the sort of thing you put in a pint tankard and down.
But yeah, he properly downs it, and that really like turned my stomach because
it's like brown and
mead
murky.
is like viscous, like syrup. It's not a downable liquid. Like,
no, not at all.
Yeah, it's horrible. He downs his mead, and then he spots there's a little honeybee like crawling across the bar.
Oh yeah,
and he just slams his flagon down and crushes it, and she's just like, "Why would you do a thing like that?" And he's like, "I'm sorry, I'm allergic." Like,
okay, yeah, that's fair. But like, that's gonna come back.
That's very much that was very much a Chekhov's bee sting.
Yeah.
Oh, and then he encounters Willow, his ex fiance. We learn, who's suddenly being incredibly evasive and will not answer a straight question. She's like, "Oh, they're watching me. Come and meet me outside," and they'll meet outside. And she just won't respond to anything he asks her. Any questions.
Really annoying.
It is this aspect of the way the women are written in this film really got old fast for me, because it's just like everything he said, they just kind of go,
yeah.
Like nobody has any dialogue apart from him. It's really frustrating. So she's being super evasive, but she continues to insist that her daughter is really missing.
Yeah.
And so he promises to help her to find it, even though she's still not revealed that it's his daughter. So the next like half hour of the film is just him kind of running around the town, encountering various creepy women. So there's the younger girl, Lily Sobieski. She's Sister Honey. She's for some reason dressed like Belle from Beauty and the Beast. It's very that with that blue, that kind of blue dress and the white bow. And it's
yeah.
So she asks him to take her. She also pretends not to know who not to recognize the picture of Rowan, the little girl. The little girl's called Rowan. You'll learn that name because he says it about 10,000 times in this film. Like, where's Rowan? Rowan? Where's Rowan? But yeah, she also denies knowing Rowan or having ever seen her, but she does ask him to take her off the island with him when he leaves. Also, did you notice that the actress was really crap at chopping wood?
No, I didn't.
The main scene with her is when she's outside the inn, I think, and Nicolas Cage comes up to her and she's like chopping blocks of wood, and it's the feeblest wood chopping you'll ever see in your life. It's really bad. So there's her, she's Sister Honey. Oh, there's a pair of creepy old crones who are like twins who speak exclusively in unison. Yeah. And also, all they seem to do is just repeat whatever the person who spoke directly before them said.
It's not great, is it?
That's all they do. Yeah.
Notice, Sir Knight, how we led you to believe that your daughter would be sacrificed due to the failure of the crops last year.
But they did fail. I saw the photo.
Yes, they failed, all right. Disastrously so. One of the few times since my ancestors moved here. But we are always prepared with a powerful sacrifice. And that, my friend, is your destiny.
It is your destiny.
Back up!
He also discovers that the island's main source of like produce, income, export, whatever, is honey. They produce honey, and that's their main harvest.
Yeah.
They have all these bees and they harvest honey and they sell it. I guess they sell it all over America. Maybe I like the idea that there's like Summer Isle honey with crazy pictures of crazy women like on the front cover, just like, being sold all in supermarkets all over America.
Yeah.
And yet they have an annual festival, this community. They have an annual festival for the harvest to kind of encourage a healthy crop, a bountiful crop of honey. And the inn is actually decorated with all of these pictures of little girls standing. There's like a little girl who's always like the princess of the harvest, I guess, kind of thing. And there's all these pictures in the inn of these little girls standing in front of all these like harvests of, honey and shit. And it's one from every year, but the one from last year is mysteriously missing. But there's like a giant space on the wall where it's clearly supposed to be.
Yep.
So that kind of arouses his suspicions about whatever happened to that photo.
But what did happen?
Well, they took it down to avoid suspicion.
What suspicion?
His suspicion. Because the photo had Rowan in it.
But wasn't she the girl from this year?
Last year, the harvest failed. And she was the princess of the harvest, and the harvest failed. So this year, they're sacrificing, spoiler alert, they're sacrificing Nicolas Cage to get a better harvest this year than they had last year. So it is last year's harvest. So,
Okay, yeah.
So she was the princess of the harvest last year, or whatever they call it. So, yeah. So that arouses some suspicions. He also goes to the local school where he meets Sister Rose. Another plant. That was my favorite line. What's your name, miss? I'm Sister Rose. Oh, of course. Another plant. Because every woman has a name that is plant-based. You've got Willow, Rose, Beach. Yeah, it's all there. Yeah. So I think Sister Honey... No, not Sister Honey. I think Sister Rose might be my favorite supporting character in this film, the teacher. I just felt like the actress playing Sister Honey, kind of her performance... I got the sense that she kind of knew what she was doing. Like she knew she was at a piece of shit. Yeah. Like she just seemed to be very slightly hamming it up in a way that I mean, her dialogue was ridiculous, obviously, but like it was still like, how dare you scare my children? So he barges in on this school. It's all girls, obviously. It's all like little girls being taught a lesson by Sister Rose, and she's asking some really strange question like, what is man in his purest form? And all the little girls just go, phallic symbol, phallic symbol, phallic.
What kind of lesson is this?
Yeah, it's...
Because also the girls, they all know that.
Yes, that's because it's a female-centric society. Well, there are men on Summer's Isle, but in this version, in the original version, the original version, they're all very much like about free love, and they're all just fucking each other, and it's all mad. In this one, I think it's supposed to be much more like, literally, they are like a honeybee. They're a hive.
Yeah.
And obviously...
They literally refer to the men as drones.
Yeah, well, that's what I mean. The men don't speak, and I think they're just there for breeding. And the women do all the work. And obviously, Sister Summer's Isle is like the queen bee.
Yeah.
So I think that's the idea, is that they're just being told that men are just drones, and they're only good for the peen, This is what happens when women get positions of power, Harry. It's a slippery slope.
Got it. Yep.
But so he barges in on this class and he passes the photo around again, and all the children again claim that they've never seen this girl Rowan in their lives, and the teacher is the same. She's like, no, doesn't exist. She doesn't live here. But then he takes a look at the class register, and her name is just there with like a single line strike through it.
Yep.
And again, another great line from Nicolas Cage when he just looks at all these like little moppets and he's like, "You little liars."
It's great because like they're all 8.
They are literally like 8 to 10 years old. It's great, and they all have the exact same blonde hair. They're like the children of the corn. It's hilarious.
Yeah.
Also, there's like a desk that's not being used that is clearly Rowan's desk, and he goes like, "Whose desk is that?" And they're like, "It's nobody's desk. Nobody sits at that desk." And he opens the desk and a crow flies out.
Yeah. So strange.
So stupid. He's like, just purely for a jump scare, and he's like, "What the fuck was the crow doing in there?" And she was like, "Oh." One of the little girls is like, "Oh, we put it in there to see how long it would last before it went insane." He's like, "Well, that seems cruel."
I like the girl's commitment to the lie. Like, he hands around a photo of the girl, and like, they all go and have a look at it, and they're all like,
Yeah, the face acting on the little children is amazing.
no, I can't say she's familiar. Yeah. It's good.
It's good. No, yeah,
And like, they all do it. Like, they're all on the same team.
absolutely. Yeah, no, there's a lot of like, capital letters acting, like lots of with a lot of facial expressions and literal chin stroking. Like, no, I don't see the rest of my life.
And like, there's not even one girl in the class who's like messed up.
Yeah.
Because she hasn't understood the teacher's instructions.
No. There's no weak link in this class. They're all fully brainwashed. Yeah.
Yeah.
But he does
a good teacher.
But maybe good, effective teacher.
Effective, yes,
Yeah.
thank you.
He does get some answers out of Sister Rose. She's the first one who like gives him at least a few hints because he then takes her outside and she's like says, "Well, you see, we don't have any concept of death on this island. That's the thing. So when we say she doesn't exist, that's because she no longer exists. She did.
Yeah.
But they don't have a concept for death. They don't believe in death. They just think she's gone back to the earth.
Yeah.
And so this implies that Rowan has died and kind of has been buried in the local churchyard.
So was she just like the sacrifice last year?
That's the implication. Obviously,
So-
the movie reveals not that, but
Okay.
you really didn't follow this plot with the child at all, did you?
Well, the children don't look the same.
They do all look.
The child at the end doesn't look like the child in the photo.
Well, it is supposed to be Rowan. It's a year on, I guess. You know.
She looks younger.
I don't know what to tell you, but the child doesn't die. But at this point, we think the child is dead. But yes, she heavily implies that Rowan has died and been buried in the churchyard. And then Nicolas Cage is like, "Well, how did she die?" And then she goes, "She'll burn to death." And he's like, "What?" She goes, "She burnt to death." So stupid.
Wait, Sister Rose. Wait a minute. How'd she die?
She'll burn to death.
What? What'd you just say?
Precisely what I meant to. She burned to death.
So that's as much as he's getting out of Sister Rose. Because also he doesn't really seem big on asking too many follow-up questions.
No.
He's like, "Okay, I'm done with you now." He stomps off. But then he meets another woman played by the same actress as Sister Rose wearing completely different clothes. And this really cracked me up. And he's like, she says something to her and then he's like, "Wait, didn't I just speak to you up there?" And she's like, "No." And he's like, and he just stomps off. He doesn't ask any follow-up. He doesn't say, "Have you got a sister? Are you a twin?" He just kind of goes, and he just stomps away. It's so stupid.
Excuse me. Is there some church near here?
Yep. Down the hill.
Hey, didn't I just speak with you? Miss Rose, Sister Rose?
No, you didn't.
So then he goes to try and use the seaplane that he arrived on the island in to try and radio for help because he's got obviously suspicions now that some kind of child murder has happened. But he gets to the plane and finds that the radios have been disabled.
Yeah.
What a shock.
And the pilot is dead on the beach.
Oh, no, that's later.
Right.
He doesn't find the pilot's corpse till later. But yes, spoiler, the pilot has died or been killed. But then while he's on the pier, he sees Rowan's body floating under the pier.
Oh, yeah.
And he jumps into the water and swims down to pull out. I mean, it's clearly already a corpse, but I guess to pull her out. And then just as he's grabbing onto this poor little girl's dead corpse, he wakes up from his dream and we see he's fallen asleep on the pier, on the bench. But then he looks down and the little girl's corpse is in his hands and then boom, double dream sequence.
Love a double dream sequence.
The last remnants of a desperate movie, a double dream sequence. You can tell a movie is desperate for jump scares when it gives you a double dream.
Yep.
Classic. So yeah, he decides to track down the missing photo that he found in the inn now that he thinks that Rowan was probably sacrificed or something.
Yeah.
So he goes to visit the island doctor, who's Dr. Moss, another tree name, another plant name, obviously, Dr. Moss, who is also the island's only photographer. So she's the island doctor and also the island photographer. She's got 2 jobs.
Yep.
She's played by Frances Conroy.
Sure.
Who, yeah, sure, you have no idea. You would know, I know her from lots of great TV. She's in 6 Feet Under, which is one of my favourite shows, but you would probably know her most. She played the mother of Joaquin Phoenix in the Joker movie. The one he smothers with a pillow?
Sure.
No? That movie's gone already for you?
I remember, like, that. I just don't remember what she looked like.
Well, she looked like this lady, Frances Conroy. Very respected American actress.
I barely know who you're talking about.
Well, whatever. So, Dr. Moss, he meets Dr. Moss. And she's no fucking help at all. But then when she does the same thing every woman in this film does, just gives like vague non-answers and furtive glances, and eventually he leaves. But then he decides to hide in a bush and just watch her house. And then a few minutes later, minutes, hours, we don't know. At some point later on, she walks over with a couple of like little female Jawas from. Did you notice they look like Jawas?
Oh yeah.
Jawas in cardigans. It was great. And she walks off with some mysterious Jawa ladies and leaves her house empty. So he breaks into the house and first he finds like a lab full of like fetuses in jars, like babies in jars. But he also finds the photo of Rowan at the festival that he thought he was going to find. So it's a picture of the little girl at the festival on the year last year. So now he's got hard evidence that something's gone down and something's being hidden. I think he then speaks to Willow for a bit, but she doesn't have anything to say. Then he ends up in a field full of bees. He ends up in the bee field somehow. It's a giant field full of beehives. He gets stung. Obviously, we've already established he's very deeply allergic to bees. He's running through the field, getting stung many, many a time. Eventually, he passes out.
Yeah.
And then he wakes up in the home of Sister Summersisle, who is the woman who runs the whole island.
Yeah.
And it's the doctor again, though. Dr. Moss is back again, and she has rescued him and she's cured him using the old ways, not an EpiPen that he's got, just the old ways. So she's rescued him from his kind of coma. Do you go into a coma when you get hit by bees?
No idea.
He passed out anyway.
Yeah.
So he wakes up in Sister Summersisle's home, and then he has a conversation with her. So this is Ellen Burstyn, horror icon Ellen Burstyn. She played the mother in the original Exorcist movie.
Sure.
She's a big, and I've never seen that too, but she's a very famous actress and horror movie icon. So I enjoyed seeing her in this. So she like runs this island basically. She's the matriarch of the whole. She's the queen bee. She's literally the queen bee.
Yeah.
He demands answers from her. Like he accuses them of like having killed Rowan essentially. Did you notice that this scene was shot very weirdly?
Not really.
So it was. I couldn't tell if maybe Ellen Burstyn shot all of her scenes without Nicolas Cage because it kept cutting between the. Just very rapidly cutting between the facial close-ups and never having them in the same frame together.
I know I did notice that because I got towards the end of it and I was like, has the background behind Nicolas Cage changed entirely? Have they messed up the green screen here?
Yeah. I
think they did.
Yeah, this is one of the scenes where it really looked like it was on a very cheap and flimsy soundstage. Like walls were wobbling, like it was bad. But yeah, he basically accuses her and she gives a bunch of non-answers. Also, throughout this entire argument that they're having, which is kind of a long conversation in this film, he's constantly having bees land on his neck and he's just like slapping them. He's just got out of an allergic coma from being stung by bees. You'd think he'd be like, can we go inside?
Yeah.
This is very dangerous for me. I mean,
I'm like, given he's just murdering bees that keep landing on his neck, is she not getting annoyed by that?
Well, I mean, she sees what's coming, but yeah, it's bizarre. But anyway, ultimately, he asks for or demands permission to exhume to dig little Rowan up in the little grave site where he assumes she's buried, and to exhume the body. And she gives him permission. She's like, "Sure, do what you want to do. I'm not going to stop here." So he goes to the grave spot or the burial spot. He digs it up, but instead of finding Rowan's body, all he finds is a creepy burned doll, which then leads to one of the other amazing scenes. Well, he digs into a little underground crypt that's like full of water, and then gets locked in there overnight. Didn't understand why, but then he gets rescued by Willow.
Didn't really that didn't bear any relevance to the plot.
It added nothing except it brought Willow back because she comes and rescues him.
Yeah,
the ex-fiance.
Yeah,
Willow comes back and then he's like interrogating me. He's like, "How'd it get burned? How'd it get burned? How'd it get burned?" At this point, I did like how Nicolas Cage's acting got louder as the movie progressed. He started out like kind of normal, and then he just like the volume just goes up and up and up, and it's like the character is just getting sick of being in the movie. He's just getting increasingly irate, which I found actually really funny.
This hers? Tell me!
Yes, I think yeah.
How'd it get burned? How'd it get burned? How'd it get burned? How'd it get burned?
I don't know!
But yeah, he's like, how'd it get burned? And he's not giving it any space to answer questions. He's just like, how'd it get burned? How'd it get burned? How'd it get burned? hard to act like that.
That was fun.
Yeah. And she has no answers particularly. Although she does at this point reveal, shocker, it's his daughter.
Yeah.
And he is floored by this. He did not see this coming. He is a terrible police officer.
He's really bad.
Like,
because
basic chronology.
Not that it's ever happened to me, but if I were to ever meet up with somebody who I had been with like years prior, and then find out that they've got a child, the first thing that will run through my mind is, how old is that child?
Yeah.
And then do a quick bit of maths, like, is it possible that child's mine?
Yes.
And in that time, a normal person, a normal like woman in that situation would be like, oh, they're not yours.
Yeah.
Like they sort of quickly say, or, just say like, oh, and I'm here with,
that would be far too definitive of an answer for this bitch, though.
Yeah.
But yeah, he never like contemplates like, this child seems to be about 8 years old, and we broke up 9 years ago. That cuts it pretty fine. And like, he never considers this as a possibility.
No, you would. You
of course
definitely
you would.
would.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Especially if like they are ex-fiance. Like they clearly weren't just a fling.
Yeah. He says that very clearly because someone asks him early on, "Oh, is it like an ex-girlfriend?" He's like, "No, ex-fiance." Like it's a big difference for him.
Yeah. So.
So he learns that the child is his, and he almost drowns. Then he goes back to Sister Summerall's house again to confront her with this doll, whatever. But she's not there. But we do get a very Shining rip-offy kind of moment where he's like running through all the hallways, and it's like behind every single door there's a new like bee stung freak.
Yeah,
it's like a guy who's an old man who's like naked and covered in bee stings, and he's like swollen up and all this kind of stuff. There's also another room where there's a woman who just has like a bee beard on her vagina.
Yeah, I don't know what that was. She was enjoying it.
Is it some kind of massage? Yeah, does it feel good? Yeah,
God knows.
I don't know.
I wonder, are they stinging it, or are they just like?
God, can you imagine?
Slowly walking over it.
You'd hope that they're just like it's just the little feet slowly walking over it.
Yeah,
yeah. I don't think you'd want to be stinging down there.
No,
it doesn't seem like a good idea. But yeah, he starts running from house. So he starts running around the house, and all he finds is all these rooms full of freaks. And then we get to my other favourite scene in the film. This actually might be my favourite scene in the film. So he runs outside and he's running back and forth through the island, freaking out. Like I think he confronts a bunch of women and children, just starts like ripping masks off small children, being like, "Where's Rowan? Where's Rowan? Rowan!" Looking in cupboards, all kind of stuff. He's just lost the plot. He's running around like a headless chicken. I think at this point he finds the dead sea captain as well.
Yeah.
He's just lying on the beach with like his mouth sewn up and his eyes plucked out or something. It's pretty gross.
He's missing a hand and he's got lots of like straw stuck in his wrist.
Yeah. He's been very much dismembered. It's a moderately creepy scene.
It's very Midsommar.
Although Nicolas Cage doesn't react to it particularly. He just kind of goes, ugh.
Yeah.
He doesn't like scream. Like this is the first definitive proof that there was murder afoot.
Yes.
And
not just murder, but like horrific cult
dismemberment murder. And he just kind of goes, ugh, and runs off somewhere else.
Yeah.
But then he runs into Sister Rose again, the school teacher, and she's riding her bike.
I'd have paused a bit longer at the woman who's just like having an orgasm to bees.
Yes.
I'd be like, sorry, I know you're clearly having a moment here, but I've got to ask.
Yeah, what's the story?
What's this? What's happening here?
Yeah, of course, yeah. No, just runs it. That's like a split-second thing. But he comes across Sister Rose, and she's riding her bicycle, wearing a creepy like bird mask.
Yeah.
And he has a whole confrontation with her. He's like, "Take off your stupid mask," and then he pulls a gun on her, like points a gun into her face.
Yep.
And then he's like, "Give me the bike," and she's like, "No, it's my bike." And he's like, points the barrel right into him. And he's just like, "Step away from the bike."
I love it that he just Grand Theft Autos this bitch.
It was like, well, it was that, but it was also, do you remember that scene in Con Air where he's like, "Step away from the bunny"?
Oh yeah.
It's like literally the same.
Yeah.
Like, so I don't know if it's like a little Nicolas Cage cheeky callback, but
And also, has he not been riding this bike the whole film?
he has been riding that bike a lot. And
Did she not steal that from him? Or
maybe she did steal his bike.
Or did he originally steal it from her and she just stole it back and now he's stolen it again?
Well, he didn't bring a bike to the island. So
No, he didn't.
I guess it is her bike, but the constant bike riding did tickle me. Like,
Yeah, it was fun.
I know you like to cycle, but it's not a good action prop,
No.
It's hard to take someone seriously when they're riding a bike like that, looking very serious.
What's with the feathers?
We're all preparing.
For what? Celebration?
Oh, yes. Of death. And rebirth.
Sister Rose, she's only a child. You're a teacher. Please, just think about what you're doing.
The time for sentiment is over. The moment has come.
I won't let her die.
So gallant, Sir Knight. Still tilting windmills, I see. Right until the end.
Get off the bike. Get off the bike. Step away from the bike. Take your stupid mask.
So he steals the bike from Sister Rose, and he goes running around just looking in every house, screaming at random women and children. He's fully lost it. Then he goes back to the inn.
Yeah.
Where he finds Sister Beach again. She's with another. She's got a bear costume on, and she's having a little gossip with another woman, which is like the only time you see people like having a conversation that he's not in, kind of thing. That's like, oh, this bear costume gets tighter every year. Like, I can't quite fit into it anymore. Like, they're having fun, they're laughing. And then the other woman leaves, and he goes up to Sister Beach, and she says something sassy to him. I don't know what. And no words. He just like walks straight up to her, looks her dead in the eyes, and just punches her square in the face. Knocks her ass down.
Yep.
Very funny. Then Lily Sobieski kind of ninja jumps out of nowhere, like jumps onto his back. Like Arya at the end of Game of Thrones when she killed like the Night King. Like it's like that. Like she just goes, ah! And then they have this really pitiful fight where he fully like he punches her several times, and then he kicks her he doesn't just kick it, he like flying kicks her in the chest. She goes flying into the wall, and she's just kind of lying there twitching. Like
yeah, like she's probably gonna die.
Well, except she isn't, because she turns up at the end. But
she's absolutely fine. Yeah,
she's absolutely fine. It's weird. Yeah, kind of a theme with this movie.
Yeah.
So anyway, now he
it's bizarre because it's first like when he first punches what's her face, like it's,
Sister Beach.
Yeah, like it's shocking. It's like, oh my god, he just like fully punched a woman in the face. But then I'm like, nah, these women are literally trying to kill him, like in a very, very horrific way. I'm on board with a bit of punching. I'm on his side of this.
I wouldn't go that far, but I would say that like it gets funnier every time.
Yeah.
Once you get over the initial shock of like, wow, he just fully punched a woman, it just gets funnier and funnier. Like
yeah.
But yeah, while he's having this like fist fight with these two women, we have these cut scenes where the rest of the town are all gathering together now for the festival. Lady Summersisle, Sister Summersisle, Ellen Burstyn, she blew herself. She's painted her face half blue and half white. Yeah, it's very, very stupid. And all the women, everyone's in costumes. They're all dressed as like bees or crows or bears or deer. It's all very, very pagan and very pagan. Yeah, and they're kind of they're marching towards the big field, the beehive field. So then he kind of gets into the bear costume that Sister Beach was supposed to be getting into, and he kind of runs it. The bear costume, which does not obscure his face.
No.
Also, he is clearly a foot taller than every woman there. He is towering over them. It's very clearly him.
It's not a disguise.
Not a disguise at all. But Willow's also there, and he'd previously told Willow to stay at home and hide, but she's there marching with the rest of them, and he kind of runs up to her, he's like, look, hey, it's me. And he opens up the bear costume. Yeah. And he's like, I thought you told you to stay at home. And she's like, why would I do that? So then they're all marching in the festival, and they arrive at the site where finally Rowan is revealed for the first time in the film, and she's tied to a stake, and it looks very much like the women are planning to burn this poor little child at the stake, exactly as been foreshadowed. Yeah. So Nicolas Cage runs up in his bear costume, punches a third woman in the face. This is the funniest one, because he's just in a full bear costume. Yeah. And he just like, and the woman just kind of goes, "What's wrong, sister?" And he just goes, whack, TKOs her. TKOs her to the max. And then unties Rowan and runs into the forest with her, tries to rescue her. But then she leads him all the way back around, and then she runs back into the main crowd, the little girl. And she runs up to Willow. And this is when we get the big reveal. I mean, such a big reveal. I was shocked. That actually the sacrifice was never for the little girl. The little girl was just was a trap. Yeah. The real sacrifice was Nicolas Cage.
And I feel like he gives in to this really...
Well, he points the gun. He's got his gun.
Oh, sure, no. He points the gun. He does even try and shoot it, but then it's revealed that like they've already taken the bullets
Willow's
out.
already taken the bullets, yeah.
So, that's useless. And then from there, he basically gives up. Like
no, he punches a few women.
No, he punches one woman from here. Like they surround him and they come in. He punches one woman and then he gets grabbed by two others, and then that's it. There's no struggling. There's no flinging about or anything. They lie him down.
He's massively outnumbered. I think you're doing him a disservice.
Yes, but he's not even.
I feel like he is.
He's not doing anything.
He's had a lot of mead. I don't know. He's sluggish.
And like they lie him down on the ground and they prop his legs up on these logs. No one's holding his legs down.
That's a good point. He could be kicking more, yeah.
Yeah, like they're just propping his legs up. Like if you're just holding him from the top half, he could roll. He could definitely like overpower the two people that are holding him.
Well, anyway, you get in the deleted scene that we don't see, but it's quite pivotal. He gets hobbled by the women. The doctor. Oh no, that's it. Yeah, does he get hobbled and then the bees? He does. Yeah, they hobble him. He gets strapped down. They break both his legs. Then they bring out the bee costume. They put the big hood on him. Not a hood. It's like
it's the cage on his head.
They put like a cage. Yeah, a bird cage on his head. And then they pour the bees in very, very delicately. He gets a whole chin strap of bees. This is when Nicolas Cage is like at the max. The bees. Oh, my eyes, not the bees.
Nothing happened to his eyes.
No, they very much gather at the chin. They fully form a chin beard of bees.
Yeah.
Made me laugh. So he gets stung to fuck by the bees, and then Dr. Moss gives him his EpiPen injection to keep him alive. Obviously, they don't want him dying from the bee stings. And then he gets... this is when we see... Well, we learn that Willow is Lady Sister Summer Isle's daughter, and she's been in on it the whole time.
Yeah.
And they're doing all of this because of the harvest failing the previous year, and they think that by sacrificing this man, they're going to have a better harvest this year. And he's like, this isn't going to bring your goddamn honey back! and Ellen Burstyn's just like, oh, but I think it will. Argument's over.
Good point, yeah.
Well, I can't argue with that, sister.
Yeah.
And then they drag him to then we see the Wicker Man, which is just it's a giant statue made of wicker.
How did he not come across this? He's been running around the whole island, literally looking for clues the whole time.
That's a very good point.
How did he not come across this 60-foot Wicker Man?
That's a very good point. Where did they hide it?
It's in a big green opening as well. It's not like it's hidden in the trees.
Yeah,
on top of a hill.
That is very, very fair. I don't know the answer to that question. But obviously he's disoriented. He's been stung. He's had his legs broken. He gets like strapped into the wicker. He gets like wheeled into it and locked into it. And then his own biological daughter Rowan, the little blonde moppet, runs up with a little
flaming torch.
Yeah. And I don't know. It really made me laugh when Nicolas Cage is like, Rowan, honey, don't do this. Put it down, honey. He's really like appealing to like like the father-child thing that doesn't exist. Like, like, honey, no, don't do it.
No. Run! No, Rowan, don't put it down! No! Put it down! Run! Put it down, honey! Put it down!
Yeah, what she does, she sets him on fire, and he burns, obviously, and he's screaming and screaming, and much like in the original, he is burnt to death.
Yeah.
And the women are all just chanting and singing and having a great old time.
Yeah.
And then the credits roll. But then we do get the post-credit.
It's weird that the Wicker Man it's not just got Nicolas Cage in, it's just like full of goats and other animals and stuff.
Yeah, they're also
and I'm wondering,
sacrificing the livestock.
This is why you're having a bad crop.
Yeah.
Because like you're just sacrificing all your livestock and
all that smoke in the air can't be good for the bees.
Yeah, that too, yeah. How many bees died to sting his face?
Yeah, I think quite a lot, yeah.
Because when a bee stings, it dies.
Also,
it's only got one sting.
Also a good point, yeah. Yeah, they've not thought this through at all. Yeah.
No.
But then we get the post-credits scene, or the epilogue scene. It's 6 months later, very dramatic. And now we get James Franco and also Jason Ritter, who's another like TV person.
Yeah, I recognise him from things.
Yeah, he's been in stuff. They're just like, they're also cops, but they're like young trainee cops sat in a bar having drinks, and then they see these two hot ladies, hot mamas sat on a table in the corner. They go up to try and chat them up, and oh my god, it's Sister Willow and Sister Honey, Lily Sobieski, and whoever played Sister Willow wasn't famous. Yeah, and they chat them up, and Sister Honey is like all eyes on James Franco, and she's like, so what are you doing tonight? And he's like, oh, I'm gonna go back to my apartment. And she's like, can I come? And then you just see the close up of her face and the sound of bees.
Yeah.
And Nicolas Cage screaming.
Yeah. It is so strange.
It's such a weird ending.
How scary is James Franco's face?
Just generally.
Yeah. Like, do you see his eyes? They look insane. They look like Nicolas Cage in Vampire's Kiss.
Yeah, I feel like if his career hadn't like died a death because of all this stuff came up about him, you know, he probably was the person who could have been the new Nicolas Cage, because he always was a bit unhinged.
Yeah. He just looks very in this scene in particular. He looks very intense.
Yeah,
like I would be physically scared to be around
Well,
this
why
man.
why did he do this? This is like a
don't
weird
know.
role. Why would he sign up to do a single role, like a one-line appearance in the Wicker Man remake?
Yeah, I
Like,
don't know. Maybe,
this is like probably peak of his genuinely being a celebrity.
yeah. Maybe he was promised a sequel.
Maybe. Yeah, well, that never occurred. But,
We're going to franchise this.
I mean, yeah, and if it had gone a bit differently, maybe. But anyway, well, that's it. That's the end of the Wicker Man.
Could have been the Wicker Man cinematic universe.
The WCU.
Yeah.
WMCU. Yeah.
Oh, God. Yeah. Cool.
Cool. It's a gay old time.
It really is. Okay, drinking games then?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
So, drink for the sound of bees.
Yeah, I drink for bees, absolutely, yeah. All the sight of bees, or every time a bee is on Nicolas Cage's body and just slaps it away, and it's like, yeah, ridiculous. Did you notice as well that there's a scene where Ellen Burstyn, when he's running around the mansion and seeing all the weird people, there's a scene where she's like in her bed and she's like bathed in golden light. And it's like, okay, she's the queen bee.
Absolutely, yeah.
That was pretty good. That was actually a pretty good visual. I like that.
Yeah.
I wish they'd gone more into that. The people are actually the bees thing. Like made that the super weird thing.
Yeah.
Because they kind of hint at it with the men being all like voiceless drones, but like I would have liked if they really went all in on like that aspect of it and just made it really surreal. Doesn't really go.
Well, I guess to go more like that, there would only be like a very few amount of women and loads of men who were all just slaves to the women.
Yeah, true. They would have had to.
It would have been a very different film, but also like really interesting and really intense.
Yeah. Drink for bees, sure. Drink for awkward non-dialogue.
Okay.
Every time Nicolas Cage asks a woman a question in this film, and she just kind of has to go, or I can't tell you. Like it really felt like the script hadn't given any of the female actresses any dialogue, and the director was just like, well, when he asks you the question, just make something up, and they were just like, I wasn't really planning on improv in this movie, so I'm just gonna like make a face maybe.
Yeah.
It's so awkward.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's a good one. Drink for a fake pregnancy belly.
Oh yes.
You notice these?
Strap-on bellies? Yeah.
Yeah, there were quite a few of these throughout the film. It was good fun.
They did mention like, oh, there's also the Festival of Fertility, of course, but then they never went anywhere with that.
Yeah.
Like the fact that some of these women are pregnant is never comes up.
Nope.
Apart from the fact that Dr. Moss has a room full of fetuses, but
Don't know.
I don't know. Yeah, that I guess that got lost in post.
Maybe that's what the James Franco film could have been.
Could be. Yeah, could be. Okay, drink every time you're distracted by the gleam from Nicolas Cage's shiny white teeth.
Very good. Yeah. Drink if there is new evidence that says the girl is dead or alive.
Well, drink every time you hear the girls crying.
Oh yeah.
There's a lot of him following the sound of like a sobbing little girl into like random dead ends.
Yeah. Drink for flashbacks to the car crash.
Oh yeah, my god! Every time, my favourites were on the boat. That really tickled me. So he's on this boat on the way to Manhattan, I guess, or to Washington somewhere. I don't know. He's on this like
Manhattan's New York. So
sorry, no, I meant Washington. Yeah, but it's not to the island because he's asked to stop off somewhere. But anyway, he's on this ferry and he's sat there. This is the beginning of the film, and he's kind of like mulling over it. And he has like a flashback to. Well, no, he doesn't have a flashback. He just looks out the window and sees a little girl like staring
just
over
on the deck.
A little blonde girl on the deck looking over the dock. And the next thing, like a truck runs over the little girl. Like, what's a truck doing on a ferry? But then it's all in his head. So.
It's very strange.
Yeah. But yeah, they really... it's like that flashback to the girl being hit by the truck is used like 6 or 7 times in this film. And it feels like every time the film gets a bit boring, it's like, oh yeah, this is a horror movie. I don't know, throw that back in again.
Yeah.
Gives them a jump scare. But it's not really a jump scare after the 7th time you watch it.
No, not really.
Yeah. Drink for bad detective work. So many times when he's just when he doesn't at any point twig that it's his own daughter, that's a big one. But also just like never asking a follow-up question.
Yeah.
Never asking a follow-up question. Just like getting the teensiest bit of information from these crazy women and then just being like, I'm going to go talk to someone else. I'm bored of you now. Just storming off. Like,
absolutely.
Make them give a definitive answer.
Yeah. Yeah. And last one I've got is drink for a hexagon.
Ooh, yes.
Do you notice these? So obviously it's
pagan symbols, yeah.
Yeah, everything. Well, that, but also everything's based around bees and hives.
Of course, so, like, the hives.
Any piece of furniture that anyone's got, like lots of windows and just like bits of material and stuff, like everything's hexagons. It's just a nice, interesting bit of production design.
Yeah, no, that's true. That's one of the better design decisions this movie makes. Yeah, I can get on board with that. What have I got? Oh, drink for furtive glances.
What? Sorry.
Furtive glances. So drink every time. Again, it's this movie is just like full of this where the women, instead of saying anything, but like every time he walks away, if there's 2 women like having a conversation, they'll like give the side eye to each other. Like that's suspicious, kind of like side eye, kind of like, we've got a secret and we're not ready to tell it yet, kind of thing. There's a lot of that in this film. It's not subtle. Drink for a new tree name.
Yeah.
Yeah. Every woman's got a tree, you know, Sister Beach, Sister Rose, Sister Honey, Sister Willow, you know, Sister Fawn. Also, drink every time Nicolas Cage tries his cell phone unsuccessfully.
I'm sad there wasn't a Sister Venus flytrap.
Sister Venus flytrap. Yeah. You'd think they'd run out. It's quite a populous town. I don't know. Yeah. And finally, well, no.
Sister Stinging Nettle.
Sister Stinging Nettle, yeah. Sister Hydrangea. Yeah. Drink for capital letters acting.
Oh, yeah.
Drink every time Nicolas Cage or anyone gives a line reading that you know if you looked up the script, it was written in capital letters. Not the bees!
I wonder how many of Nicolas Cage's scripts have been in capital letters.
Sure, all caps, yeah. All caps, yeah. No punctuation, all caps, yeah. And finally, drink every time a woman is punched in the face.
Of course, yes.
It's like a big old...
A classic.
A classic, yeah.
Yeah, no, very good.
Excellent.
Very good.
Let's see, Alex. What do you think of Jaws, which is at 97% Rotten Tomatoes?
I find it to be anti-shark propaganda. What do you feel about the Entourage movie, which is at a meager 33%?
I think they finally got Hollywood right. How about It Follows, 97%?
Worse than your parents giving you the sex is evil talk. How do you feel about Juno, which is at 94%?
That would be a movie that celebrates a teenage homewrecker. How about Bewitched at 25%?
Best television adaptation ever put to film. How do you feel about American Hustle at a towering 93%?
Overwrought awards bait. Righteous Kill, 19%.
The movie that Michael Mann wishes he had made when he created Heat.
Sounds about right. I'm Julio.
I'm Alex, and we are the Contrarians.
As you can tell, our thing is that we rage against the Rotten Tomatoes machine.
Regardless of what we really feel.
Find us on Apple Podcasts, SoundCloud, Stitcher, TuneIn,
Facebook, Twitter, we're everywhere.
Okay, so I've got two ideas.
Okay.
And both of them are pretty open to improvisation.
That makes sense.
What I basically mean is I've written the start of a couple of ideas.
To be fair, I'm the same. This film, it's impossible, I think, to write a serious...
a
fully
full
fleshed out
plot,
sequel, because this film is ludicrous.
Yeah, it's trying to do so much, and none of it makes any sense, and it's difficult to kind of make sense of it. And
there's nothing you can kind of hold on to with this film.
Yeah, yeah.
It's kind of like The Room in that way. Like
it's kind of closed as well.
Yeah, so no, that's fine. Let's just kind of get through it together and see if we can like flesh out each other's ideas. So.
Yeah. So came up with a title that I do not think is related to this idea, but The Wicker Man 2, Wicker, I hardly know her.
Oh God, that is desperate.
No?
You've gone for a Ross pun. That's never...
Sorry.
Fair enough, okay.
Well,
I mean, if you're going to make it into like a carry-on kind of film style, like sex comedy kind of thing, which you could do with this. Like, you know.
I've not.
Okay.
Anyway, so a few years later, we pick up in a bar where there are a group of men, maybe a stag do of men, they're all getting some drinks.
Okay.
And they come across a group of women, all who we can see are clearly from the island.
Okay.
They're out on a hunt for more guys to get impregnated by.
To impregnate the men, yeah.
And take home and sacrifice and make loads of honey.
Sure, yeah.
So
I reckon they use the honey as lube.
No, honey would work as lube.
I don't think it would, but I'm thinking of these crazy bitches, you know, in this community maybe. Yeah.
I've thought about that. Yeah. Let me get back to you on that.
Okay. Okay. That's not what I was asking, but okay.
So, yeah, the women start aggressively flirting with the men, trying to bag as many of them as possible. Mm-hmm. But unfortunately for these women, in the next booth along, there are a bunch of other women trying to do the same thing.
Okay.
They're all Swedish, and one of them is Florence Pugh.
Oh, so it's like a full Midsommar Wicker Man crossover, but rival cults.
Yeah.
Oh, I like that. That's good.
Yeah. So, you know, because they both have kind of the same thing. They just
yeah.
go into mainland America and grab some men and take them back to their weird island / summery fieldy place and sacrifice them and burn them alive.
Sweden's not an island, but I take your point. Yeah.
You know, I was saying summery place.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Is that all of that idea?
No. So yeah, the two groups of women, they essentially play tug of war for these men, both trying to flirt harder than the other.
I was supposed to thought you meant like literally, just like one grabbing each arm, just like back and forth.
That's what men like.
Yeah, okay. The arms I was thinking of, Harry.
so they play tug-of-war for these men, with each woman getting more desperate than the other. Fights even break out. It's getting crazy. Now, a third contender is thrown into the ring when Carey Mulligan stumbles in.
Oh, apparently promising young woman.
Apparently drunk off her face. Obviously, she's not drunk off her face. That's her thing.
That's her honeypot, yeah.
Unfortunately for her, the only attention she gets is from a very kind-hearted man who, quite characteristically, does the good thing and accompanies her home in a taxi, making sure she gets home safe, drinks plenty of water before returning to the night out with the boys.
Oh, so he's not one of those fake good guys that were in that movie?
No, he's an actual good guy.
Oh, no.
So
okay,
she's like, I just wasted that evening. All right.
So her role in this is just a little cameo. Just like a comedic cameo.
Yeah.
Basically. Okay, I like that.
When he gets back, the women aren't fighting anymore.
Okay.
And are in fact all deep in conversation. They're all comparing notes about their cults.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Like, oh, well, our cult does this. Really? Oh, we do it this way. And that's pretty much where I got to.
Okay.
I was thinking that maybe they could do some kind of a cultural exchange.
Oh, so like Florence Pugh and, I don't know, like Sister Honey have like a swap roles and go to the different cults.
Yeah, maybe something like that. I don't know. But I thought there could definitely be some fun there.
Yeah. What struck me, and stop me if this is like in your second idea, is that...
I doubt it.
Okay. Is that there's all... I started thinking of like Wonder Woman.
Okay.
Yeah. Because that was just like an island of like crazy bitches.
Yeah.
You know.
Yes, John, it was an island of crazy bitches.
Well, it was an island of women, yeah. So,
strong, powerful women, i.e. crazy bitches.
Yes, I've been fully indoctrinated by this movie.
You're starting to sound like a straight man.
I know, right? But yeah, I don't know. Was there something there, like about, is this island secretly fair mascara?
I mean, maybe. Good memory.
Yeah. I don't know how that came to me. You know, at times I forget simple words, and somehow fair mascara stayed with me. Like...
I don't remember that. Yeah, no, I don't know if there's something there. I mean, you could definitely say that. I don't know, like maybe this is like an offshoot. Like it was some women from Themyscira who just they weren't getting on with how it was going. So like we're going to go and start our own island,
and they start a cult that's built around bees. Yeah. But the women, we didn't see it in the original movie because there was no real need for it. But the women have like super strength.
Yeah.
So maybe on this film they do tempt some men onto their island again. But maybe whether it be James Franco or just some new cast, probably some new cast at this point.
Yeah.
But maybe the men are a bit more resourceful and try to escape, and the women have to like open a full kind of whip pass on them.
Yeah,
that could be fun.
Yeah.
But then if you're going to combine, to go back to your idea, if you're going to combine Midsommar with the Wicker Man, maybe they're like different chapters of the same religion. Like just set in different, and maybe there's like. We've only seen the small chapters, but maybe there's like a top tier of this cult.
Oh, right.
Led by, this like grand dame of, the queen of all.
Oh, well, that's where you can bring Themyscira into it.
That could just be Wonder Woman, yeah.
Yeah.
Or it could be anyone, I don't know. But yeah, I like the idea of like some kind of cultural exchange element. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Because I'd like to just see Florence Pugh doing another cult movie.
Yeah, absolutely.
That'd be fun. But then like doing that with the
right down to the bear, there are so many similarities.
There really are. Yeah. Guy in a bear suit, things getting like burnt at the end.
Because like I'm assuming
the main male character literally gets burnt at the end in a big wooden structure.
The thing is, I'm sure Midsommar was much
like this is prime material for 2 Geeks 2 Movies.
Oh, absolutely.
Older previous podcast.
Yeah, well, if you and Ross ever revive that, that's dead. But if you ever do, those are 2 movies you could watch. Yeah?
Absolutely, yeah.
But it's weird because I'm pretty sure that Midsommar is openly influenced by the original Wicker Man, which is a very good movie. But in the original movie, he's not dressed as a bear at any point. He dressed as like a jester or something.
But I wouldn't be surprised if Midsommar just took stuff from
but the fact that it clearly did. The fact that it took the bear thing from this like notoriously dreadful movie.
Also, it might not have. It might have taken it from some like just old fairy tale somewhere, and this also did that.
Yeah, I mean, there's definite Midsommar Wicker Man.
Big time, yeah.
They couldn't have not noticed that there's similarities.
But. Absolutely, but like they might have just based off similar things. Obviously the original Wicker Man and just any old fairy tale where someone dresses up like a bear.
True. Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe.
No, okay. I think there's a lot of potential there. A lot of fun, yeah.
Yeah.
Do you want to move on to your second?
Yeah, sure. My next one is called Wicker Man 2, Revenge of the Bees.
Revenge of the Bees, okay.
So we pick up at the end of the original, where Nicolas Cage and his broken legs are at the top of the Wicker Man being burnt alive.
Oh, wow, okay. So we're right back in the action.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
He's screaming, and as he exhales his last breath before dying, a lone honeybee flies out of his mouth and away from the inferno. He slumps down and gets consumed by the flames while the bee flies to safety and into one of the hives.
Does this bee contain the soul of Nicolas Cage?
From here on out, we're seeing through the bee's eyes. It's the spirit of Nicolas Cage in a bee. And he has to learn the way of the bees.
This may be the silliest concept you've got in a long time, but I love it.
But he doesn't like the way of the bees.
No.
He doesn't like the human overlords who sacrificed him for the bee gods. That's all I've got.
No, that's great. That's fantastic. But also, who wants to be a worker bee? They get nothing good. You know.
Yeah.
They work till they die.
Yeah.
I like the idea that maybe he has to infiltrate the land of the bees and maybe militarize them so that they can turn and convince them to turn on their female overlords, so they can then attack and kill as revenge for taking his human life. He tries to weaponize the bees so that they can then turn on the women of the island and sting them all to death and kill them.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah,
that could be fun. Yeah,
yeah, something like that. I was trying to work out if they can actually work out what kind of supernatural stuff is going on. Like, why are they being sacrificed and turned into bees? Is there a way of undoing that and then putting that curse on the women who did that to them?
Oh yes, so maybe every woman who's ever been maybe every man who's ever been sacrificed in this
That's
manner
what I was thinking.
Is now trapped in the body of a bee.
All the bees, they're not just normal bees. They used to be men.
Oh, that's interesting. None of the bees occur naturally. They're all men.
Yeah.
Okay, that's amazing.
Yeah. And so that's why they're sacrificing more men to get a better crop, because they've not got enough bees. So we need more bees.
To create more bees.
Quick, go and seduce some men.
I mean, do you know how many bees there are in an average hive? That is
it's a lot.
It's genocide. I don't know how they're getting all these men, but I love it as a concept. Yeah. Oh, it's so good. Yeah. And then I don't know exactly where you go, but I like the idea of the men all deciding to, under Nicolas Cage's tutelage, to break from their chains, their shackles, and just attack these women. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's definitely something there.
Yeah. So that was the Wicker Man 2, Revenge of the Bees.
Revenge of the Bees.
Or you could also call it Wicker Man 2, a Nicolas Cage bee movie.
I was just thinking that, yeah. So, is Nicolas Cage in the bee movie? He's not, no.
I don't know.
I've not seen it. No, very good. I think that's got a lot of potential.
Yes. Well, I'm glad you like it.
Yeah.
What have you got then?
Okay. I also have 2 ideas that are just titles, and then a third one where I've actually got a little bit of plot that, again, you can maybe help with.
Okay.
So my first one, well, not even a title, more of like just a concept. Because basically my approach to this week was just to be like, this film makes no sense.
Yes.
And I was just kind of trying to think, well, how can I make this make sense? How can I impose some kind of logic in this universe? So how can you explain why everything is so weird in this film? Because especially the fact that there's that car crash at the beginning and the bodies disappear and then the women turn up at the end. It's like, what did they do? Did they teleport? Did they do a Houdini trick? Are they dead? Are they ghosts? Whatever. So what I landed on was, what if this entire thing was a simulation?
Okay.
Like Nicolas Cage is in the Matrix.
Right.
And the simulation he's in, though, is not like the world. It's just this crazy bee torture scenario. That's literally all I've got for that one.
Right. Okay. So he's being tortured by bees.
Yeah.
He's allergic to bees. And so he's just in that bee helmet thing at the moment. He's being stung by bees so much. And that is where all this is coming from. And that's why none of it makes sense.
Yeah.
Are you saying that these things didn't happen, or this is just the memory that he's got of them? That nothing really makes sense. He's looking back on the past couple days or whatever, because he's like, well, how did I get here?
I just I like that as a framing device for sure. If you want to start it there with him just before he gets burned. But no, I just like the idea that the whole thing is a simulation, because that's the only way to explain the madness of this film. So many people just being in weird places at weird times and jumping around, and all of it makes more sense if it's not the real world. If he's just in, it's all simulated.
Okay. Yeah. Well, that's one option, definitely.
It's an option. Yeah, I don't know really where to. Maybe in the world of the Matrix, because it's a long time since I've seen the Matrix movies. I know there's a new one coming out, which might be why it's fresh in my mind. But they're kind of all being ruled over by these alien overlords, right? And they're all in these pods. That's my memory of the alien backstory.
The AI.
AI, okay.
It's not alien.
Oh, so there's no aliens in the Matrix?
No.
What do you mean their AI?
It's artificial intelligence that just took over.
Oh, but it did. So it did take over, though. Yeah.
Yeah.
So maybe Nicolas Cage was like a freedom fighter in the way that Neo was, but he got subjugated and he caused a lot of chaos. But he was ultimately subjugated and captured. And maybe as punishment for that, he was placed in his own personal hell. And maybe he had 2 twin phobias in life: bees and women. And so he was placed in. He was placed in the simulation. He was placed in a simulation that would give him the most fear.
He's allergic to both.
He's allergic to bees and terrified of women. Yeah. So he's placed in a simulation that means he'll be constantly tortured by both for all eternity.
Oh, yeah.
And maybe every time he dies, he just wakes up back at the start, and it's just a constant loop.
Right, got it.
And the film could follow him, just kind of trying to break that loop somehow, like becoming increasingly more self-aware.
Yeah.
I mean,
okay.
that's pretty much all I have.
Definitely something.
There's something, yeah. Like I said, that's literally all I had. My second one is equally thin. It is, again, it's based on the weirdness of this original film. What if Summer's Isle, the island where all these ladies are, is actually Hobbiton?
Okay.
Because I thought a lot of the women just kind of look like hobbits.
Sure.
Especially at the very beginning, those 3 like gingery ladies who have the sack of bleeding flesh, whatever it is. They really just look like female hobbits. And I was like, and Hobbiton's like really, reclusive and obscure, and probably its main produce is like fruit, veg, and honey. Like,
Hobbiton is a weird place because it's named after the people that lived there.
Yeah.
It'd be like if we lived in Humania.
Humania, yeah.
It's just strange. Like,
yeah.
Nowhere else is named after its things. It's inhabitants.
Inhabitants?
Yeah.
That's probably. I think it'd be really interesting if
Inhabitants.
Maybe this is like a dark side to the hobbits.
Yeah.
Did you say inhabitants?
Yes, I did.
Oh, Harry.
Sorry.
You always got away with that then. Yeah, but what if this movie showed like the dark side that we never saw of the hobbits? Where, they seem really cute and fun, but actually they'll murder a bitch or a bastard, not a bitch, clearly. Yeah. What we don't know about the hobbits and the Lord of the Rings films is that if their crops ever fail, they get their human sacrifice on. Yeah.
Sure. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, there's nowhere to go with that, but I'm just like, it's the Shire, basically.
Yeah.
Summer's Isle is the Shire.
Got it.
So that was all I had for that. My main idea, though, the one that actually has a little bit of depth, not much, but a little bit. It's actually a direct sequel. It picks up post Nicolas Cage being burned. So he gets burned alive inside the Wicker Man. The women are all like, "Hooray, our crops!" But this kind of short-sighted plan that they've pulled together to sacrifice a male and then crops has left him in a bit of a pickle because, as you remember, they also killed the sea captain.
Oh yeah,
and he was their main.
I was thinking this.
Yeah, like he.
Do they have communication with the outside world?
It seems like he's it. Well, that on the website, but it seems like he's it. Like he comes, he picks up their stuff, he delivers stuff. Like he's their main source of income and trade.
I dread to think what their internet speed is like.
It's got to be non-existent. Yeah. There's no routers, but
they've got a website.
They did somehow. They got a website. Yeah. Show me the TripAdvisor. Seriously. But yeah, what I'm thinking is they've now murdered their only source of communication with the outside world. And as it turns out, the sacrifice is a failure, as Nicolas Cage predicted. The honey harvest does not get better; it gets worse.
Yeah.
So now they're yielding less and less honey, and they have no way to sell it anyway, and they have no way to get any crops from the outside world. Things are going to get bad for them. So the following year, they invite James Franco and Jason Visser. They burn them as well. Doesn't make any difference. Doesn't make things any better. So at this point, the ladies are forced to have some hard discussions about the future of their island.
Okay.
And with money dwindling, they quickly realize that the island can't sustain itself for much longer without a new source of income. And there's only really one option. They're going to have to open up Summer's Isle as a tourist attraction.
Of course, yeah.
Yeah, it makes sense. It's very pretty.
Yeah.
Obviously, they're a deeply closed-off community. This is not something they're all comfortable with. On the other hand, they do have a website. And needs must. So I'm thinking they start marketing Summer's Isle as the ultimate like back to nature getaway, where you can it's like a relaxing rustic locale where you can escape from the modern world. There's not even any internet signal. It's like marketed for people who want to like have a break from the crazy 24/7 high tech world that we all live in, kind of thing. And I like the idea of like maybe Sister Summer's Isle, the Ellen Burstyn character, having to make a really cringy like YouTube video like "Welcome to Summer's Isle," It's like a tourist information advert. So she makes this thing. They start marketing themselves as a high-end exclusive tourist attraction. Unfortunately, of course, the only kind of people who would ever respond to that kind of advert are trendy millennials and Gen Zers.
Yes.
So it's just the island is immediately swamped with hipsters, basically.
Yep.
Trying to get away, but like the kind of hipsters who like think they don't want their mobile phone, but really they want their mobile phone.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So I'm thinking this could run as like maybe a sitcom instead of a movie, because I'm thinking of it as kind of a cross between Midsommar and What We Do in the Shadows.
Okay. Yeah.
Kind of where all these crazy closed off women who are all into like ritual sacrifice and bee worship and stuff. Suddenly they're having to, and Sister Beach in her inn where she doesn't like having any actual guests. Now it's like overbooked and constantly busy. And they're constantly having
We've
to.
only got one bedroom.
Yeah, they're constantly having to entertain and put up guests and make them comfortable and not ritually sacrifice them. And I'm thinking like there can definitely be occasions when they have a little slip up and they all know, so we burnt them. Yeah. But yeah, that's kind of as far as I got with it. But I just kind of thought it'd be a really fun kind of dark comedy kind of sitcom thing about like a community of intense paganistic shut-ins who open up their land to modern hipsters who then invade their territory, and then they have to like learn how to be hospitable and how to deal with it. I think.
Yeah. No, I'm absolutely there for the mockumentary style of
Yeah,
it.
I think it should definitely be a mockumentary. You could cross it over with other kind of TV shows as well. Like I was thinking maybe like the cast of Kimmy Schmidt could come and stay like on a holiday crossover.
Yeah.
And get into all kinds of shenanigans. So yeah.
Yeah, no, that would certainly work with that. That's sure. Yeah, I like it.
Yeah.
Did it have a name?
That was a Summer's Isle, a holiday destination with a difference.
Nice.
Yeah.
Quite a difference.
Fantastic. So, shall we get to listener submissions?
Yes.
Fantastic. We've only got a handful this week. Steve Baranski said, a live-action remake of The Adventures of Winnie the Pooh, featuring Nicolas Cage as the title character.
Of course.
That sounds horrifying. Andre Klein said, The Snicker Man, a product placement extravaganza in which the island's main resource is chocolate. Mike Nichols said, Wicker 2 Man.
Of course.
Dave McKenzie said, make it more like the 1973 film, i.e. make it a musical. Because the original Wicker Man is it's not like a musical. All the songs are diegetic. They're like, it's people singing crazy folk songs, but in character. But there's a lot of music in it, and it's very good. But yeah, make it more like the 1973 film, make it a musical. In this version, Nicolas Cage gets to sing some of his favorite Elvis Presley songs. Because Nicolas Cage is famous like a super Elvis freak.
Yeah.
He could sing his favorite Elvis Presley songs, including Let Me Be Your Teddy Bear, Wooden Heart,
Okay.
and Burning Love. Spotting a theme there.
Very good.
Steve at Everything I Learned from Movies at EILFM on Twitter said, the sequel I've always envisioned is Nicolas Cage's character coming back as the Ghost Rider and bear punching some witches.
Ooh. You know what? Kind of works because he's on fire.
Yeah, he's already a ghost.
Yeah.
He comes back on his motorcycle and he takes revenge on these women.
Yeah.
That could totally work. Yeah.
Yep.
And finally, Julio at the Contrarian podcast at Contrarian Prime just said, The Wicker Man and Vampire's Kiss are my biggest Nicolas Cage blind spots.
Oh, okay.
I feel like Julio should watch those movies.
Yeah, you're missing out.
Absolutely. Certainly with The Vampire's Kiss, which is legitimately amazing. And for this, just for the comedy alone.
Yeah.
It's definitely worth 2 hours of your time.
Yeah.
Not even 2 hours, like an hour and a half. You can do it. Yeah. Fantastic. Well, thank you, everybody, for those. Thank you for your listener submissions. We ask for your sequel ideas every week before we record by putting posts on Facebook and Twitter where you can post your ideas. So make sure you like and follow our pages if you don't want to miss out. To listen to more episodes of Beyond the Box Set, you can subscribe and browse our back catalogue on any podcasting platform, including Apple, Spotify, Google Play, and many others, in all of which you can also leave us a review if you so wish. And Harry, we are getting dangerously close to the final countdown.
Yeah.
But next week we are having our final ever guests. We are welcoming back deep friend of the pod, Finn.
Okay.
And his lovely fiancée, Mel. They are coming back to us. Well, it's Mel's first time. They are going to be joining us for not a Nicolas Cage film. We gave them a free pick.
Well, it's after Christmas Day.
It's post-Christmas. Yeah,
so...
we were just giving them a film to pick.
Sorry, it's after St. Nicholas Day.
After St. Nicholas Day, so it's fine, yeah. So yes, they have decided that our last Patreon pick film is going to be a little film called Crazy Rich Asians.
Ah, okay, yeah.
We saw this in the cinema, and I remember we both enjoyed it. So
yeah, I remember enjoying it. I think that's all I do remember about it.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to revisiting it, and we'll see. So yeah, join us next week with Finn and Mel for Crazy Rich Asians.
Fantastic. Thank you for listening, everybody, and we'll see you next time.
See you next time.
Bye.
What is it? What is it? What is it? Oh, no, not the beast! Not the beast! Ah! Open my eyes!